Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to Finance Friday. I'm Jim Brown.
Hello.
Hard
Good
Money
to
Jim.
see you, Jim.
Good to see you, Eduardo. Hi, Maria.
Hello, Jim. How are you? Thank you for inviting us.
Well, thank you for agreeing to come. Today, I was just reviewing almost 1 year ago, a little over 1 year ago, we did a fascinating interview, we three, a fascinating conversation about inflation in Argentina and all the consequences of that, how it affects individual lives, and the implications, some of the philosophical implications of that are behind Argentina. And now, very surprising to me, and maybe to you, 1 year, a little over a year later, we have an unusual I think a fascinating development. This man, Javier Milei, who is an absolute firebrand. He is but he's more than that. He's very interested in ideas. He is an expert in economics. He is a dedicated free market economist. By many accounts, he's an admirer of Ayn Rand, but also of, mostly, I think, the libertarian, what we would call the libertarian free market economists. He's an admirer, for example, of von Mises and Murray Rothbard. But I've heard translations of his speeches, and he knows them all. He quotes them all well. And so I was hoping to start this off. I'll see if I can share a screen. I want to show everybody this viral video is he presidente now? Is he now the president? Yeah. That he did, and it's you don't have to be able to speak Spanish to know what he's doing. I don't speak Spanish. But what you're going to see now, if this works, is he's looking at an organization chart of the Argentine government, and he is saying, the state is not the solution, the state is the problem. And then watch what he does. I hope I can make this work. Now I'm going to share screen here. Am I able to share screen, Daniel?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to share screen here. Here we go. And let's see if this works. I hope everyone can see this.
Lo primero que tenemos que entender es que el Estado no es la solución. El Estado es el problema. Ustedes, si se fijan acá, tienen la gran raviolada que es el Estado, el gran curro y la fuente de la decadencia argentina, que es el Estado. Esta es la foto del Estado que tenemos hoy. Si nos movemos hacia aquella pizarra, que es Ministerio de Turismo y Deporte, afuera. Ministerio de Cultura, afuera. Ministerio de Ambiente y Desarrollo Sostenible, afuera. Ministerio de las Mujeres y Género y Diversidad, afuera. Ministerio de Obras Públicas, afuera. Aunque te resistas. Vamos a seguir por acá. Ministerio de Ciencia y Tecnología e Innovación, algo bien del sector privado. Nada bueno salió del sector público. ¡Afuera! Ministerio de Trabajo, Empleo y Seguridad Social. ¡Afuera! Ministerio de Educación. Adoctrinamientos. ¡Afuera! Ministerio de Transporte. ¡Afuera! Ministerio de Salud. ¡Afuera! Ministerio de Desarrollo Social. ¡Afuera! ¿Cómo queda el Estado? Ministerio de Capital Humano, Ministerio de Infraestructura, Ministerio de Economía, Ministerio de Justicia, Ministerio de Seguridad, Ministerio de Defensa, Ministerio de Relaciones Exteriores y Ministerio del Interior. Se acabó el curro de la política. ¡Carajo!
Now that was, to me, more than entertaining. I have a new expression. When it comes to government agencies, afuera! That's I think I'm going to get a t-shirt that says that. But I wanted everyone to see this. Perhaps many others have. So this is what this is what Argentina now has as a leader. And today I would love to discuss with you both, what do you think his prospects are for success are? I ran across a quote by a famous historical British diplomat named Lloyd George. And he basically said, to cross a chasm, you cannot take small steps. You must take one big leap. And this is the situation, in a way, that it appears President Milei is facing, because as you know, inflation is so embedded, and socialism and altruism is so embedded in a country that has this kind of inflation. How is Javier Milei going to overcome this? Will he not face incredible opposition? Do you think he's up for the task? And I don't want to ask, I shouldn't ask too many questions at once, but what will we see that will indicate that he is being successful? Okay. So either one. Maria, do you want to start?
Very short introduction. Eduardo is the economist here, and he knows much better about this this particular question. But let me do an introduction so he can.
Yes, thank you.
Then a little bit more. I think, yes, what you said at the beginning is right. No one would have imagined that someone like Javier Milei a year ago would be our next president in an Argentina that is completely collectivist, that is completely altruistic. And he was voted with a big difference from the opposition, from the other party, for more than 10%, 11%, which is amazing. And the even amazing thing is that he won the elections saying things that up to a couple of years ago, nobody would have imagined that people would vote for those ideas. Shrink the state, people has to earn their life by themselves and not try to live because of the favor of the state. We are going to open the markets, we are going to open the economy. So all ideas that until some years ago, people would have said, no, this is evil, this is the demon coming to Argentina. And people vote for that. So that means something, I think, good. People starting to wake up and realizing that socialism and collectivism is not working anymore in Argentina. So they are starting to see the facts, they're starting to see the statistics, and they're starting to understand that this is not the way. So I think there's a big difference with Argentina, for example, in Venezuela. Venezuela keep trying to make socialism work, and it doesn't work. In this case, at least people realize that this is not the way, and we need something completely different. You have asked me 1 year ago, Milei has any chance? I would have said, no way, there's no chance here. But I think the young people play a very important role. Young people are starting to become more involved with ideas. They understand the importance of ideas, and they listen to something new. So this is an introduction of why Milei won in a country that is very collectivist, is very embedded in its culture. So, and Eduardo can be more.
Could I pause on that just a minute, Maria? Argentina is demographically is a pretty young country, correct? About 36 million people, and it compared to, say, the United States or European countries.
47.
Yeah, a little bit more, yeah.
Oh, 47. Okay, thank you. But it's a country of relatively young people, right? It's, in other words, there's not a lot of old geezers like me who are going to, retire or die in a few years. But and so this is pretty important. If as you say, it was the young people who were largely behind Milei.
And in many cases, young people convince their parents. So if you see the trip that Milei did from, he started talking in public television, what, 5 years ago, maybe? And all young people was there like cheering for him. And I think in many ways, because adults here are more conservative, they were scared. In fact, in the first, when the people vote for in the ballotage, the first round, they didn't vote, the older people, all for Milei, because they were scared. He's a little bit crazy. He's this kind of very passionate guy. And people are used to, they prefer the malo conocido, how do you say, the things that are already known, even when they are bad, than the new things to come. So, and I think when the final elections came, most of the adults voted for Milei, and that was also part, of course, of Milei, but young people convincing their parents that we really need a change. That's my vision of it. I don't know, Eduardo, what you think about it, but I think that play a big, important role in this kind of change in Argentina.
Yeah. Eduardo, maybe you jump in here. And I apologize again for starting late. I didn't give you a proper introduction. But Eduardo, people know Maria, I think, is an intellectual activist associated with ARI and with the Ayn Rand Center Latam. Eduardo has and you don't need to go through it all, Eduardo, but because it's quite it's quite impressive. But Eduardo has studied with some luminaries, with Hans Sennholz, as I recall. You've been a professor in addition to a professional accountant, and I think now you're running programs to develop, if you still are running programs to develop young minds and young entrepreneurs to teach them wealth creation. Have you had an effect? Is this what's going on in Argentina? Is there a change of mind?
I think so, Jim. I think that we work I'm 71 now, and we started to teach free market economic principles and the Austrian School of Economics when we were in our 20s. Mr. Venegas Lynch is the person who Milei is always praising, saying that he's the great libertarian mind in Argentina. The two Venegas Lynch, father and son, father died, son is now 82. They were the ones that created the Center for Studies on Liberty in Argentina, and they brought very good intellectuals to Buenos Aires. Ludwig von Mises, Frederick von Hayek, Henry Hazlitt, they all came here. They gave lecture, Hans Sennholz, and Hans, when he stayed in Buenos Aires, invited 10 Argentinians, one each year, to go to study at Grove City College. It's a small university, small college near Pittsburgh, to study under his guide. So, and also all of us participated in different seminars at the Foundation for Economic Education with Leonard Reed, Henry Hazlitt, and we got familiarized with Ayn Rand and Percy Greaves, Israel Kirchner. So we took seminars with Murray Rothbard, with Larry Reed, that later become the president of Foundation for Economic Education. So in our return to Buenos Aires, we taught at the University of Buenos Aires for several years, free market economics, at a small private university called ESEADE, and we were also collaborating with the Universidad Francisco Marroquín in Guatemala. That is a very big university founded by Manuel Ayau, that was also influenced by Leonard Reed. If you just take some perspective, the influence of Leonard Reed and Ayn Rand has been fantastic. Leonard Reed in relationship with free market economics and individualism, Ayn Rand, of course, on philosophy in general. So, but both of them did a very good job. Of course, I consider Ayn Rand much bigger, and because of the reasons they discussed in Ayn Rand letters, I don't know if you read them, among Leonard Reed and Ayn Rand. But we have been teaching free market economics and objectivism for the last 40, 50 years. Maria's efforts in the last 5 years have been fantastic too. So we reached a pretty important quantity of students. And I ran junior achievement that I think in England was called Young Enterprise. And we were teaching entrepreneurship, the idea of making money. In these societies, they are Jesuit societies, Francis Pope societies, where people think that wealth is fixed, and if you make money, it's at the expense of somebody else. So the fact of creating junior achievement and teaching 1 million kids how to make money from scratch in 15 weeks, that was, I think, something that recreated entrepreneurial spirit. That was important. And also, once they started to understand how prices work, so do you remember Ludwig von Mises, socialism, the impossibility of economic calculus in socialism? And we spread out the ideas of Murray Rothbard also. He has very good books on money, The Mystery of Banking, or What Has Government Done to Our Money, and Economics in One Lesson by Henry Hazlitt or Frederick Bastiat, Economic Harmonies. So with all those books, Rothbard, Money, Economy, and the State, we started to criticize John Maynard Keynes, that in Argentina has been taught for decades in all the universities. So we discussed the failures of new economics and the conversations between Frederick Hayek and John Maynard Keynes. So people, little by little, small minority at the beginning, by later, we spread out our message. And Milei, that at the beginning was an econometrist, writing equations in the blackboards of the universities, very good student, he realized that little by little he approached Chicago School, and he read Milton Friedman, and he was very impressed by Friedman. And after that, he read a little bit of Mises. I think he read Omnipotent Government and the Anti-Capitalistic Mentality. And he got in touch with Venegas Lynch. He read his book, that is a kind of human action in Spanish, called Fundamentos de Análisis Económico, and he learned the lesson. So he is a liberal libertarian with good arguments. He read a little bit of Ayn Rand because Maria's influence, myself, that we gave him The Virtue of Selfishness, and he read a little bit here and there. I don't think it's the strongest part, but he's not an altruistic. He learned the lesson of being an individualistic. He's against the tribe. And but, you know, when you enter politics, it's very difficult. I was nominated to become the Ministry of Education. Finally, I wasn't chosen, but
now he's saying Ministerio Educación afuera.
Well, but it's still a secretary of education, you know. They diminished the quantity of ministries from 18 to 9. And the secretaries, they went from 182. The secretaries, they went from 106 to 54. Yeah. And so they're reducing the size of the government. But when you go to the politic meetings, you see how difficult it is. And you see that despite the fact that Milei is choosing pretty good people, not all of them share good principles. So when you start speaking about reducing government and taking out some secretaries or some ministries, you always face resistance. So if you ask me if he's going to be successful, I give him 80% of chances or 75, but he still can fail, especially in the first 1 or 2 months. The inflation rate in December, just 1 month, is going to be 20%. So in a country with 50% of the kids are not eating enough, so if hyperinflation keeps going, people will start to throw stones because they cannot eat. So it's very important for Milei to keep the government up and with initiatives. And he's not going to the shock. Right now, he's just introducing small measures, so he's a little bit cautious. So, but just 5 days. We are expecting the new laws coming, and we'll see the reaction of the public. But we have feel to be optimistic. But this is a fire. We're in the middle of the bomb. This is a chaos. Yeah. So let's see what's going to happen.
Yeah. So let me pick up on a couple of fascinating things you said there. First of all, I'm glad you reminded us of the kind of a mini renaissance in free market thinking that has gone on in Latin America. You know, I read about it, but it's difficult to stay up with it because much of it is in Spanish. But I never made the association before. Milei himself is a convert. He did not start out as a free market economist.
Right.
And he himself is a convert. So perhaps that's allows us to make kind of a little bit of a logical leap about what might be going on. I'm sensing that there's an intellectual void in economics that because in Latin America, and particularly in Argentina, it's so obvious that Keynesianism, money printing, redistributive economics has not worked. It's been a disaster. So it raises the question in my mind. Much of what I read says, well, this is just a reaction to a system that has not worked. And it strikes me that if the election of Milei is merely a reaction to a system that has not worked, the reaction itself will not be sufficient to propel the country onward. But if there has been genuine seeds of intellectual change planted that will fill that intellectual vacuum, then it seems to me he has a chance. And do you agree with that? That's a guess on my part, but do you agree with that?
Go ahead, Mary.
I have exactly the same concern that you have. I don't have the answer, and I think we will see which of those options is reality in a couple of months. I think part of the people who vote for Milei, yes, they don't still understand very well what are individual rights, or why do you need to have a right to property, and why a big government is a bad thing. As some people don't know exactly what is the real role that a government has to have. So those people, I think, yes, they voted. They know that the country is on fire, and they wanted something completely different. And Milei comes the face of that something completely different. But they still don't understand what is the good. They know what they don't want, but they still lack certainty of what we should do, or what is a good option. What are the values that we need to pursue? So yeah. I think that is the case of the majority, which I don't know. That can be a problem, because at the first thing that Milei do something that I don't know, they make it feel or leave a little bit worse. Probably next time they won't vote again for Milei. But if at least people start to understand the value of good ideas and what are the principles, not just the measures, but the principles that Milei are trying to see as the light at the end of the tunnel, what are the principles that we need to follow? In that case, he has a real chance and support to do the things that he has to do. Maybe Eduardo has a vision that, yes, people are supporting those ideas. I'm still not so sure if it's half of them, at least is a reaction against what we have done and up to now, the politicians that we have up to now. And in that case, there's a good opportunity for groups like Eduardo's Foundation for Intellectual Responsibility, for Ayn Rand Center, to try in these 4 years to make these ideas to have roots, to start to, people start to understand why is the only option that will make Argentina flourish again.
Yeah, yeah. Now he won with a 55.5, I think, percent majority. In the history of Argentine politics, is that a big majority? I don't know the situation there. Does that seem like a very big mandate to you?
Yes, it is. It is. The normal, I think it's probably the largest number in history, at least in the 20th century, compared with the 20th century, and this part of the 21st. Is a good number. From 24 provinces, 21 elected him, and he was elected in the northern part of the country, where all the tribes are, and the tribal attitude, and they voted for Milei. So people, as I agree with Maria, people voted because we needed a change. He made a very good moral case. He explained that Argentina was a rich country because of British investments at the beginning of 20th century. And he explained how the nationalistic feelings and conservatism and the church really hurt Argentina. He didn't mention the church, but he was attacking the Pope and Francisco and the Jesuits because they were just spreading out ideas of poverty and ideas of anti-merit ideas. And he criticized that. One good thing, let me tell you an anecdote regarding Milei. When he was 11, and the militaries in Argentina invaded the Falklands, and the program was being transmitted on TV, his father, that was very nationalistic, was watching the program. And Milei, with 11 years old, he started to argue against it, saying, we are invading islands with farmers that live there, have been living there for 180 years. So that looks crazy, right? And he said, and we are just facing an army that is much more powerful than ours. So we will be killing people, and Patagonia is empty. And his father is so angry with him, he started to beat him. And in the floor, he kept beating him, and was a tremendous beating. So finally, he decided to leave his house because he didn't want to die. Maybe his father was very aggressive, and he moved to his grandmother's house. And but it shows that at 11 years old, he had an independent and challenging attitude that was very unusual in Argentina. So I trust that spirit. He's an individualistic. I think he's right now studying the Torah, and he wants to become a Jew, to become the first Jewish president of Argentina. He's a little bit mystic, but he's a kind of also, he likes to challenge status quo and conservative ideas of, at the same time, he's still mystic, and once in a while, he's praying to his dogs, his old dog that went to heaven, and he tries to communicate with him to receive messages from heaven. But he's still very rational in his decisions. So let's see if what you mentioned, that he's a convert. So if you ask him about Jefferson, probably he knows something about John Locke. He can mention something, but he doesn't have the background. He doesn't have the roots of understanding. He smells, the intuition is there, and he's very smart and he learns fast. But he's still a little bit pragmatist here and there. That's why his first measures are not strong enough. But his sense of life, his feeling, I think he's going to go for it. He has that attitude that impossible is nothing. I don't see him as being a coward. Right now, he's under the influence of his sister. She was very good cooking tortas, cakes. And as she's a smart girl, she became very smart, but she's more cautious. So let's see how courageous he is and if he can make it. If not, this will become Venezuela or Cuba, and we have to emigrate. So keep a room for us.
Oh, always room here. Let me pause here because I can't see the YouTube channel in the chat. So, Daniel, if you are listening, are there any chats or questions that we should entertain at this point?
No super chat so far.
Okay, very good. Thanks. So I'm very curious, a couple more things I hope we can get to. Daniel, are we up against a hard stop at an hour, or can we go a little?
No hard stop.
Okay, good. One thing that interests me
I think you froze, Jim.
is to understand what kind of, okay. Can you hear me okay? Okay.
Yeah.
One thing that interests me is to understand the internal obstacles, institutional obstacles to success. Are there any particular bureaus, ministries, power structures that are in embedded bureaucracies that may be formidable obstacles to making these changes? Because clearly he's going to slash spending, afuera the individual ministries and so forth. Can he do this without a revolution or without a coup? Right? What do you think?
Should I go first, Mary?
Let's go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Of course, Argentina is a country where 20 million people are receiving checks from the state. So if this is the case, a lot of them are going to suffer. The retirees, the real people who invested money in preparing for when they are old, they are receiving very, very low salaries. But at the same time, the populism coming from the Kirchner and the other ones allow some other people to retire without making the proper payments. So the system is also broken. So retired people will suffer. There are a lot of social plans for people who can't hit to. So right now we have around 6 to 8 million people receiving checks from the state, from the welfare state, and that's a lot of money just going. And Milei plans to reduce that and just to put a limit to that. So you have the empresarios. Empresarios is a group of businessmen who have been profiting for the last 50 years of a closed economy and just putting tariffs, and they are just chasing in the zoo. It's very easy to make money that way because there is no competition. So textiles, play games for kids, juguetes, toys, several industries. If you go to the Unión Industrial Argentina, you will see all of them just taking advantage and making very good money. So if Milei open the economy, they all will suffer. And at the same time, all the people just making money out of inflation, because as you know, inflation is a process of transfer of money from the poor to the rich. So there are a lot of people taking money through that process. So they will all be expecting Milei to fail and to come back to a populist government. So yes, he will at the Congress. He doesn't have majorities in the Congress. So if he wants to pass the laws, he will have to compromise here and there. Let's see. He is threatening the Congress with DNU. Those are decrees from the executive power backed by a referendum, maybe, if the subject is very important. He wants to privatize all the state-owned companies. The people just taking care of Aerolíneas Argentinas, who is losing 1 billion a year. Of course, they are just all traveling to Europe and having fun at the expense of the people who never took a plane. So all those people will be hurt, and all of them are going to react.
Yeah, Maria, do you think that the system, the social system, the difference between the way the social system in Argentina is represented versus the way it delivers? In other words, they promise, security and prosperity, but it cannot be delivered because socialism promises it, but it cannot deliver it because it is socialism. Now, is the system so now bankrupt and so broken in the eyes of the people that they essentially, the support for this socialistic structure is collapsing of its own weight? Is that what's happening? Because I mean, you see this, you saw this happen, for example, in the Soviet Union. No one conquered the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union just broke down and collapsed. What replaced it wasn't very good, but the communism collapsed. Are we seeing the same kind of collapse of socialism here? In other words, is the support, is the popular political support for socialism just crumbling?
Well, I would say yes. It's like politicians make promises that they know that they will not be able to deliver, and just they do this kind of promises because they are what people wants to hear.
Right.
Argentina, as Eduardo told, we have 50% of poverty, 10% of people that even cannot eat. So if you, as a politician, promise them, okay, I will give you food, I will give you this, I will give you that, and you make you sound like you have the right to this, so we are going to give that. And they don't explain, well, we need to take money from other people to do that. It's like something magic. You touch a bottom, you need something, and you're going to give you this that you need. So, of course, politicians promise many things that they don't know that they will not be able to deliver. But they keep getting power because of those promises. But at some point, people can wait and can have some faith on that. But at some point, if you don't deliver, you say, well, you start to realize all of this thing is BS. They are lying.
And maybe no one knows. Maybe time will tell. But I'm just wondering if Argentine citizens are at that point. They're saying, they're not just saying anything but this. They're not just saying that. They're just saying that we cannot support this. This system is obviously corrupt, bankrupt. Every fool can see it, despite what the government and the government's media tell us. No more.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's what's happening.
Yes. I don't really want, yeah.
I think that some of them do. We work hard trying to explain the shortcomings of social justice, the idea of redistribution of wealth, the idea that necessity creates rights. So little by little, we permeated that church idea of let's all contribute for the common good, for the good of the society, for social justice. So people start in Argentina to smell that there is something wrong with it, the injustice of social justice. So we did a pretty good job, I think, disseminating and just fighting those ideas. I think that is because of that Milei he's very smart. He understood that there was a majority in the country that started to understand, and he profited from that. And despite the fact that at the beginning he was not convinced, he was working for some other populist governors. But so he just changed. He's a very good politician, a little bit opportunist in his way, But at the same time, in the process, he got convinced, I think. And I think he's sincere, seeing that he's, in that way, he's wiser than Bolsonaro. And I would say that he's wiser than Trump. I think he got deeper. And so if you ask me if the Argentina population will back, I think that Argentina population is ready to back the changes and to suffer. Milei said in his inaugural speech, we are going to suffer. This is like Churchill's sangre, sudor y lágrima. I don't know how you say in English.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
I think that he said that. And I think that people got the message and are ready. But my concern is not with the people. My concern is with Milei himself. Will he have the courage to implement the message? How convinced he is under the stone when some people start to criticize and to throw stones to him? Will he be able to, will he be a Margaret Thatcher to just to stop the carbon mining workers, or a Ronald Reagan against the radar control in the States? Will he be able to resist under pressure? That's my only concern. Let's see.
One thing he said, a big thing he said he wants to do, which attracted my attention early on, he said he wants to dollarize the Argentine economy, in other words, to scrap the Argentine peso and put the country on the basis of dollars. And I've read a lot of commentary about this, much of which I disagree with, because the commentary I read says it'll be impossible to dollarize the economy for various reasons. But to which I reply, wait a minute, according to my interview with both of you a year ago, the economy is already dollarized. I read that there's 250 billion in dollar deposits, in dollar-denominated investments owned by Argentinians. And you told me, and I believe you, of course, a year ago, no one saves in pesos. Everyone tries to save in dollars or dollar-denominated assets. They spend the pesos, they hold the dollars, which is, what you expect. So
let me tell you what.
Yeah.
Now, Eduardo can explain if we can dollarize or not, but it's exactly this. The situation is exactly as you describe it. It's people get their salary and they run to the black market, because you cannot buy dollars from in a legal way, and change their pesos for the dollar, because every day the value of the peso goes down. And I don't remember exactly. That would be nice to see at what how much $1 cost 1 year ago. But right now is almost, it changed every day, so I cannot tell you for sure. But it's almost $1.
I can tell you it's more than double. The official exchange rate
almost $1,000.
Was
1,000 pesos.
Was 167. The official last year was 167. Today it's right up near 400. But Milei has already said he is going to devalue at the official rate gradually. I think over a period of months, maybe a year. And obviously what he's doing is he's closing the black market rate and the official rate so that there will be one market rate. And, and so he's devalued the peso, and I guess he's trying to control it to alleviate some suffering, from some people, because as he says, and as his ministers say, there is no money. That's what they keep saying. How do they say that in Espanol?
No hay plata.
No hay plata. And there's no money. I keep, as I look at these videos, they keep saying that. They're telling the people, we haven't got it. We can't pay you. We have to start all over again. So this idea, but Eduardo, maybe you'll comment on this. No one is going to lend dollars, I don't think, maybe the IMF will again, but no one's going to lend dollars to Argentina, to the Argentine government. Maybe Milei will find a way, but they have got to figure out a way to do a severe austerity so that they are spending only what they can collect in taxes, plus maybe borrow a little bit from the general public with the for short term with the ability, if they demonstrate the ability to pay it back, because they can't print dollars. Milei knows this. He knows that, you know, he can't create dollars. And so he's deliberately putting Argentina on a severe austerity program, which is, to my understanding, the only thing that will really work. So I see no real problem in dollarizing the economy. It's already based in dollars. If you dollarize it, I believe you'll attract, and really demonstrate a commitment, I believe you will attract a lot of investment to Argentina. If I were confident in Argentine property rights and currency, you can bet I would invest there personally. So would you comment on all those things?
Yeah, there is a technical problem. In order for you to dollarize, you need to buy the pesos. The central bank needs to buy the pesos. You need to buy the currency. You
Right.
need to buy the monetary base. The monetary base is currency plus the deposits the commercial banks have at the central bank. So in order to do that, you need $20 billion. The central bank has nothing. It's empty. But also the central bank printed so much money that the hyperinflation was just there. So they were afraid of just firing the country, so making fire of the country. So they started to issue bonds. Those bonds are called LELIQs, letras de liquidez. So right now you have another 30 to 40 billion dollars in LELIQs. So they withdraw money from the circuits, from the markets, and they gave the bank LELIQs. The banks invested the money in the central bank. That was a deposits money. So they need around between 60 to 80 billion dollars to buy all the pesos around. And you will not have 100% reserve system. You will only have a central bank with enough reserves to cover 20% of what the reserve requirements. But it works that way. In Panama and Ecuador, they dollarize the economy, and they have a reserve requirement of 20%, and they never had a run. People believe it, and they don't go to the bank to retire all the money at the same time. So it's working fine. Yeah. So how do you get the dollars is the question to dollarize. And I agree with you. The main problem is confidence. To gain confidence, you need to announce the reforms. And the minister he appointed, Mr. Caputo, was a Macri minister. And he's the middle of the road, the pragmatist. He's afraid. He took the dollar, and right now he devaluated the currency to 800, close to the market. Today, the market, I was selling dollars for 950. So what's so close? My question is, why didn't you finally open the cepo? You just didn't stop that. He's afraid of just, because of this devaluation, the inflation rate of December is going to be 20%, because a lot of imports, a lot of goods are, they have raw materials that are being imported. So that is affecting the index of the price index. So right now, the inflation rate in December for Christmas is 20% in a country that has been impoverished by inflation. So they are just, they don't know where to touch. Everything is completely putrefacted, it's rotten. So I think that he will be sending this Monday to the Congress some laws. I hope them to be courageous, announcing the selling of all state-owned companies, announcing he's selling the planes of YPF, the oil company. They had two planes that were being used by Cristina to get the newspaper in Buenos Aires and go into Patagonia. So he's selling that.
That's Christina Kirchner, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, right.
And he's selling all the cars. He's selling cell phones. He's not allowing coffee in the ministries. So he's saying that but the big cut of expenditures is in people. And you have 20 million people, and you have 8 million people that the state-owned workers, bureaucracy, they don't produce anything. They are just regulating everything. So in order for you to do that, you need time. And in a country that is under fire, you don't have too much time. So let's see what happens.
And what you mentioned, Jim, I agree with you. It has to be done fast because he has the support of the people now, and the people vote exactly. He said, we are going to shrink the government. We are going to stop with all the expenditure. So people voted for that, and right now they are supporting him. So he needs to take those measures if he can as soon as possible. I think 3 months will be like a signal or a light if he's going to succeed in the rest of his administration. Yeah.
I see so many potential future parallels to my own country. The underlying forces that create this situation have been brewing in the USA for a long time. Unfortunately, I believe they're getting a little stronger, and I think Americans are as clueless about the causes and problems of inflation and collectivism as Argentinians. I think they are they're absolutely clueless. I think we've been lucky in the sense that we have. For reasons not clear to me, we have adhered a little closer to our original constitution and limited government than Argentina. Peronism, which is, as you well know, dominated Argentina for so many decades. Now it seems maybe pretty dead. We never had anything quite like this. A combination of socialism, social justice, and hero worship all balled into one. That's how I understand Peronismo. So we never quite had that, but I believe we are possibly vulnerable to this. And I see big inflationary pressures because of the commitments to spending, because of the open-ended commitments that cannot be paid by government. Argentina has reached it. They're saying, no, there is no money. Well, the USA is going to reach that stage when people realize there is no way, and I've written a lot about this, there is no way to actually pay for the obligations and all the debt, especially the unfunded debt that has been accumulated by the United States. Something is going to give, something has to change. It will, exactly how, no one knows. But I find this interesting because this in Argentina is maybe what it has to come to before change actually is possible. You now face the possibility of real, and it's exciting. You now face the possibility of real, positive change. My guess is the USA, if it follows a similar trajectory to Argentina, is years away yet from seeing what its problems are. And this is so fascinating to me as a window into our, I hope it's not, but it seems like a window into our future. Maybe it's still 50 or 100 years away, or maybe it won't happen at all, but it's what can happen. It can happen here. And I hope all USA and UK listeners take that in. what happened in Argentina can so easily happen here that we need to educate ourselves about economics, philosophy. In my case, my little contribution is money creation and its consequences, to really understand that so that you can elect better politicians and also protect yourself against, the inflation that may be coming in the USA. Okay, I'm going to get off my soapbox, but I'd like to give you both a chance to, say some concluding comments. Oh, yes, and please, Maria and Eduardo, tell us about what you're doing and how to follow you and how to contact you.
Okay, I will start.
Yes,
so
please.
First I recommend people to read 2 essays from Ayn Rand. Is What Can One Do? And both are in Philosophy Who Needs It and Don't Let It Go. I think what United States has, and probably UK too, is they have a better sense of life. They have some principles that you're taking it more for granted than in Argentina and Latin America. You believe in individualism. You believe that selfishness and self-interest is not something bad, as in Latin America is a very, very bad word. So at least you feel that something about collectivism is bad. Collectivism in Latin America has been a very good word. Now Milei talks about collectivism as an evil thing, and people start to understand. But you have you are much better, in a position much better than in Latin America. So you don't need to fall to what Argentina is now or to Venezuela to start recovering and to start choosing good policies and good philosophy and good economics. So what you have to do, guys, is learn from bad examples from other people. Look what happened in Argentina, study history, study what happened in Argentina, what happened in Venezuela, in Latin America in general, and in some countries in Europe. And we are human beings. We share the same nature. It's not that some kind of policies will work in one place and it's not going to work in other place. We are the same in that sense. We need freedom, we need property, we need to be able to choose what to do our life. We need to understand that our life is, my life is mine, your life is yours. And I think that's the most important principle. So learn from Argentina's history, learn from Latin America history, the good histories and the bad histories, and do not commit the same mistakes. But for that, you need to understand the lay of the casual links of things. Why we are where we are is not because of magic, it's not because Argentinians are less intelligent people, it's because of bad ideas. And bad ideas takes you to bad policies, bad politics, bad politicians, bad economy. So let's start to understand what is the cause of a rich country and flourishing people, and what are the causes of Argentina and Venezuela and Cuba. And let's try not to repeat the same story.
So those 2 essays again were Don't Let It Go.
Yeah, that's the last essay in Philosophy Who Needs It, and what can one do? Because sometimes you think, okay, I'm alone in this battle, so what can I do? I cannot do anything. So I will start not to worry about. And ideas are important. And there's a lot of things that one person can do to generate an impact in society. So I think that's, for me, it's a perfect essay for trying to establish what this is our goal and start to work, not expecting to change the mind of all society. Start with small groups of smart people who takes ideas as important, who have an active mind, and try to talk to that kind of people. And you will make a change little by little.
When I send this out on my Substack, I will try, and of course it'll be on the Ayn Rand Center UK YouTube channel. I will make a link to those 3 with your recommendation. And Maria, I have your email. Can I share that on my Substack as well? I assume.
Sure, you can share my email. You can find what we are doing with Ayn Rand Central Latin America in Instagram, in YouTube channel, on Facebook, and mostly those are our social media. So please follow us and see what kind of activities we are doing here in Latin America.
And thank you for what you do, because I think in some way you may have had an effect here. I mean, I'm going to believe it whether it's true or not. That's just call it my little act of faith. But that's a joke. But anyway.
I hope so. I know that we are not the only ones. I know, for example, Rosito Pels, 15 years ago, translate all of Ayn Rand's book in Spanish. I think that was the beginning of a change. But 10 years ago, you talk about Ayn Rand and people said, Ayn who? They never know. They didn't know who she was. Yeah. And now people know who she is. Maybe they don't understand all her philosophy, but we are doing a lot of study groups with a lot of people. They are curious. They want to know more. We are sending people also to Ayn Rand University. So I think we are doing a good job and putting the important seeds. And they are growing up. So
well, I think I can say I shouldn't speak for my audience, but I think in this case I can say that everyone viewing this is very proud of you. So good.
Thank you.
Yeah, Eduardo, can you tell us again well, I know that you are in developing young minds. Tell us how anyone can reach you if they want to correspond, if that's okay, and ask you about because you have such a great on-the-ground perspective there. I just wanted to say I've read so many essays and so many accounts and commentaries on this Javier Milei phenomenon. No one interviews real Argentinians. No one talks to actual citizens. So I feel like we've done something a little unique here. But yeah, please comment on how we can talk to you and reach you.
And I retired from Junior Achievement 5 years ago, and I started a new organization with two names, Fundación Educación para el Futuro, where I teach National Foundation for Teaching Entrepreneurship programs in Argentina, and keep still teaching entrepreneurship. And also I started with the Foundation for Intellectual Responsibility, FIR, where I organize different activities. Right now I have two activities, a club called Read to Lead, where I invite intellectuals once a month to give lectures and to discuss papers. And it's a small club. We only have 25 members, but it's fun. And the other activity, I'm creating digital courses. The first one was a free market economic course, 60 videos. It's in English, Portuguese, and Spanish, where I try to teach the basics of free market economics in 60 videos with exercises. It's Ludwig von Mises and Henry Hazlitt, taught by a professor with 50 years of experience. So I'm very simple. My examples are very easy to follow. And if you want to learn economics in a very easy way, that's the way. So you can enter into my page, free. You look at Google. The page is under restructuration now, so I'm not sure if it is open. I think it is, but it will be done for the end of the year. And just my last comment is on the states. I agree with Maria about the sense of life, but you always have to face faith and force. The problem is when you attack reason, and you compare reason, you think that feelings are a good mean of action, you are in troubles. And I think that you are encouraging people a lot with feelings. And so how can you explain the Fed printing money? You experienced that in the past with Richard Nixon, and the inflation rate went to 15 to 20% a year. In a country based of contracts on 30 years, you take a mortgage for 30, 40, 50 years. If you have an inflation rate of 20%, you are destroying the capital markets. And you know that you printed so much money that all Europe is filled with dollars, and Asia and Latin America. So if people start to see that dollars, you have inflation rate at home, so people will take all those dollars back to the States to buy things. You don't want to keep. I have my own dollars in Argentina. All of us, we save in dollars. So I go to the bank, I take my dollars, I take them to the States to buy something. So if that's the case, so I think that's a dangerous road. I think Ron Paul is telling you all the time about that. I think his main achievement is Ron Paul is to alert you about the problems with inflation. And you are very spoiled because you are buying things just printing money abroad. But of course, you can suffer because of that, because if all those dollars come back, you are in trouble. So
Yep.
I think that I agree with Maria. And you receive a lot of immigrants too with some mixed notions of they escape from Latin America to go to the States for better lives, but once they are there, they keep repeating the same mistakes and voting for the same populist candidates because the basic ideas are still there. That's why it's so important to educate that part of your population in good principles. I think that you are doing a great job yourself, and I think that a lot of different institutes and think tanks around the state are just working fine, and they will finally prevail. The main enemy is right now at the universities, as you can see, and the main companion for you, the main asset you have are the networks. So because we can discuss, we have Zoom, we have Instagram, we have all the networks and the digital world that is helping us a lot. So I really think that we will win the battle, not without suffering, but it's going to be fine.
Yeah. With your permission, I'm going to query you by email and get some links to some of your material and your videos, and then I'll share it on my Substack.
Of course, very welcome.
Yeah.
Also,
Okay.
you can share my own email. I have no problem with that, Jim. So go ahead.
Okay, thank you for being so generous. I don't have we don't have so big an audience that I don't think that you'll be inundated, but I just don't want people contacting you without them being welcome. All right, so we probably should wrap up. This has been so much fun for me. Again, I apologize for starting a little bit late. I'm time zone challenged, but I'll get over that. Daniel, before we sign off, have you got any comments or super chats for us?
We have super chat from Bonnie and a super chat from Linda. Thank you both so much. They're both thanking you for the show.
Okay, well, thank you, Bonnie and Linda, both, because your comments are very appreciated. All right, I hate to say goodbye. Maria, Eduardo, thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's a whole year. It's a whole year since we spoke. Maria, will I see you at Ocon?
Yeah, I will see you in Ocon. I hope we can do another one in 1 year and see if
I would like that. Let's see.
We will be God's by then. So who knows?
Let's see how things develop in the Javier Milei situation. And if Presidente Milei, if you are listening, I wish you luck. I wish you well, and Godspeed. All right. Thank you, and bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
James.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Eduardo. Bye.